Hey Peaches, what is up? I did not plan on taking this long of a break from YouTube. I genuinely thought I was going to be like right back at filming right after I had Dash. Obviously, that is not true. The lighting fluctuates in this video. I'm just sitting in front of the beautiful window to the beautiful outdoors. It's so pretty outside today. I have 1,000 things going on, but I definitely am going to get a walk in because that fresh air when it's like warm, just, it makes you a different person. So today I wanted to talk to you guys about my birth story, kind of just tell you the whole experience. And yeah, I thought that would be fun jumping back into everything. And I actually already have a vlog that I filmed technically before this video, but that'll be up after this one. And then I have a couple more vlogs and other things coming up as well. But I thought this was a great way to get back into filming. Really quick, I'm gonna let you know I used a new self tanner today and it's amazing, but I have no idea how I ended up with only basically this palm being tanned. So that's what that is, not Cheetos. Okay, so jumping right in, if you guys have never seen a video of mine and you're just stumbling across this one, I was due to have my baby in December this past year. On the 17th was his due date, and I had said to my husband during one of our appointments, we left and I said, I have a feeling he's gonna come on the 10th. And then at my last pregnancy appointment, they told me I was gonna have to be induced and said that I would be induced on the 10th. And so anyways, that was funny. He did not come on the 10th though. So really quickly, if you guys have any specific questions, I'm happy to answer them down below. I thought that might be easier than to like dive into every single bit of information in this video. I thought I could kind of just tell you guys the experience and then you'll tell me if you have questions and I can answer those for you. So I needed to be induced because during the last couple weeks of pregnancy, they started to say my amniotic fluid was low. And I actually had been going to a specialist a few times for a few of my appointments because my baby had fluid around his heart for a little bit of time during pregnancy as well. And at the last appointment at the specialist, she was doing my ultrasound and she was like, you're going to the hospital today. So it was kind of, I just knew, not early on, but the early part of the latest part of pregnancy, this could happen at any moment and not really how I'm picturing. And that's basically what happened. So I did not imagine being induced. That was not something that was like in my head or my mind or anything I had like even read about really. And 2 weeks before I was induced, they were like, okay, let's talk about induction. So we went in Friday morning, December the 10th. And I actually have a couple clips that Dustin was so kind to even think about vlogging during this. And I wish that I would have gotten at least more pictures during our time at the hospital, but I'm gonna insert those kind of through this video too so that you guys can see what's going on.
All right, here we are. We just ate Chick-fil-A. Last meal before we go.
Maybe my last meal until after baby.
Right. So, how was it?
It was good. I've heard that if you eat mac and cheese or like pasta or something super carby before you go into labor, that helps your body have like more kind of to work off of. So I had some mac and cheese and a sandwich.
And I had a sandwich and fries and some of her mac and cheese.
So he's ready too, in case he has to push it all.
Right.
How are you feeling about going over there right now?
I feel good. How do you feel?
I think I feel good. I'm not nervous yet, but I think I just, like I've said, I just want to hear when I go in where I'm at. And then maybe I'll be nervous if they're like, oh,
yeah,
you haven't progressed at all. But I've been having a couple contractions this morning. And last night I said I had a couple contractions, but what was weirder was it was like a cramp and then a lot of pressure, like 3 times maybe. So I haven't had that kind of pressure before. And I'm also trying not to get in my head and be like, I'm definitely like dilated and in labor and like it's gonna go fast. I'm kind of just trying to be like,
we'll see what happens. Whatever happens, happens. That's, I think, the mentality that I'm trying to be in is like, whatever needs to happen, we'll get through it. Like, we'll take it one step at a time. So if it's, okay, now we need to wait for dilation, now we need to do this, now we need to do that. It's like hitting each milestone as you go and just focusing on that one.
Yeah.
And just being like, okay, this is what we have to do.
Well, I think
Let's do it.
that's
This is
gonna-
what, okay.
Yeah, I think that's going to help me through labor in general, is to not be like, when do I have the baby? It's just going to be like, okay, now we go in and we get the cytotech or whatever we're going to use today.
Yep.
Now we're going to sit here for a while. Now we're going to check again. Now we're going to like,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking that way too about contractions. Like,
Yeah.
if I can remind myself that we're having a contraction right now and it'll be over, and then
Yep.
focus on the next one when it gets here. Like,
Exactly.
I don't know. I hope I haven't tricked myself into thinking I'm a calm person.
Nah. You'll be fine though.
I have said this the whole time, but I feel like the closer it gets, the more true it gets.
Mm-hmm.
Is I also am like, I know once the pain starts, it probably won't be this way, but I'm a little embarrassed to be like, cause a scene or anything. I don't know. I know that's so dumb, but
You just have to cause what you cause.
I know.
Like, you can't sit there and be like, instead of going, you just being like,
but I probably will though. And I
and then
feel
I'm like, you have to breathe.
yeah, and then I pass out. I feel like I'm just gonna be very apologetic to nurses and be like, whatever, like, you need to do is fine. Like, don't mind me.
Yeah.
But probably once it starts. Is this a contraction? No.
What movie or show am I thinking of where somebody has to apologize? I don't remember. Anyway, never mind. I'm doing that a lot lately.
I was just about to say, you keep doing that.
I know. It's like I've got 5 million quotes in my head and I don't know where they
You can't
belong.
get to them.
I know. Oh well.
Dustin slept very well last night.
Mm-hmm.
Talked and laughed in his sleep. Sleep.
Slate. Oh, my sleep.
In your sleep. At the hospital today, the rules haven't changed, so nobody's allowed in except for me and Dustin. And my dad is going to wait in the parking lot for an undetermined amount of time. I'm hoping that if it's like a few hours in and nothing is happening, that I can be like the same mentality about the nurses. Be like, don't even, it's fine. Why don't you just
Yep.
go on home? It'll be fine.
I don't know. Buffering.
I wish that we had a laptop and I could be editing.
Yeah. All right. That's it.
This is my pregnant belly.
Pregnant belly.
He's been so busy and has had the hiccups today.
Yep.
I did have a big emotional moment last night where it wasn't that I'm like scared about giving birth or anything. I really thought I had tricked myself and I was like, I think I'm about to freak out about doing this. But I think there's just so many emotions right at the end of this.
Yep.
Where it's like, I am sad not to be pregnant, which sounds stupid because you get the baby, but it's like...
Well, no, it's like I said, it's like your body adjusts to a new normal, so going back to normal
is not normal.
not normal, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I think I did too much yesterday of like, this is the last, so much that it kind of felt like that was starting to feel negative when I would say it. Instead of like, that's not how I was starting off meaning it, and that's not how I was meaning it in the moment. Like, this is the last night.
Yeah.
We're eating dinner, just us and my belly, without him being here. I think I just did that too much yesterday, and it started to feel like, wow, this is sad and ending, but really it's just starting. And then like, I don't know, thinking about Suki and just thinking about him, just the whole thing. It's a lot of emotions.
It is. But we good. We got it.
All right.
Let's
go have a baby, I guess.
Let's go have a baby.
So we get there the morning of December the 10th, and I have no idea what was going on that day. It was crazy because maybe this is like normal for labor and delivery units. I don't know. But we went in and no one else was there. I was literally the only patient, which was fun and nice. And it stayed that way for a little while that day where nobody else had come in. And so the staff was like, thank God, something to do. So basically, like I said, I'm just going to kind of truncate some of it, but if you guys have specific questions, I'll answer them. To get induced, they started an IV in my hand, which was terrible. Hated that. I'm so like cringy about veins and stuff like that, and having to look at that IV the whole time was probably the worst part of giving birth throughout everything else. Even the last day, I was like, when can we take this out? Every day I asked them that. When can we take this out? And they kept telling me they had to leave it in just in case they needed to like rush in and do kind of any intervention. I guess they would already have a vein, which makes sense, but it was terrible to look at, and it was terrible feeling because I had the needle sticking out and it was just awful. So they started my IV in my hand. They put the little monitor on my belly, and then we just hung out. So I don't know exactly what time I got induced. I want to say it was like around noon. Actually, it might have been a little earlier than that. They said we could come anytime that we wanted to, so we were thinking let's just come earlier in the day and get it started. And we did stop for breakfast, so I think we might have started actually at like 10 or 11. I can't remember. I was almost in labor for 24 hours.
What you doing?
Waiting to have a baby.
Waiting to have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Got all my monitors on.
Yeah. How you feeling?
I feel fine right now.
Yeah.
I took my medicine about an hour and a half ago to get started.
Okay.
So we're just hanging out now.
Just hanging out.
I felt a couple contractions and she said they were good ones, so whatever that means.
Got Friends on the TV.
How are you feeling?
I'm good. This is our restroom, and this is where, in non-COVID times, family can be out there. So we just have some of our bags and stuff in here. All right, just updating y'all.
Maybe slow, maybe not. Oh, but when they checked me, I'm still only at 1, but I'm 70 to 80% effaced. So we're hoping now that I've had that medicine, it's just gonna make.
Yep.
I have an IV that's driving me insane as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that hurts. Wow, I just bumped that. I had a vein blowout, she said. And it hurts. And the IV I have right now doesn't have anything in it. It's just in case we need it. And I'm like, I can't stop thinking about it.
Yep. Well, you'll be okay. So update, the doctor came in about an hour ago and said that probably the baby would be coming tomorrow afternoon. So we'll sleep here tonight, have a baby tomorrow. Unless we have a baby tonight, because that is also possible.
We're having lots of contractions.
Lots of contractions. But for now, we may take a nap, Sarah might, and we'll just hang out. Okay, that's it. We just ate dinner.
Just ate dinner.
Sarah had her second dose,
Second dose.
and we're just waiting for it to take effect and the baby.
I've still been having lots of contractions.
Yeah.
But they didn't check me because she asked what my pain level was from 1 to 10. And I was like, 1. She's like, okay, I'm not going to check you. And I'm like,
Yeah.
should I be saying something different? I don't know. I
Not
don't
not if
feel
it's a
like-
1. If it's truly a 1.
Yeah. I feel like that one that I had was like almost a 2.
Yeah. Like it was sort of creeping up there.
Yeah. This one right now is kind of more than it has been.
More than it has been.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we're just keeping an eye on things, and hopefully we will have some progression here soon.
I guess it's a good sign that he thinks, like, even if he's thinking it's going to take, like, a long time, the way that he was like, it's going to be a process, but still was like, tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah.
I guess that's good.
Oh, yes, I think so. I don't think we'll go
Yeah, I just hope
into Sunday or anything.
Right, I just hope that it's not, like, days and days of waiting.
Nah, we'll be fine. He may even come tonight. We don't know. We don't know. Okay, that's the update.
I will say the only part of like having to be induced that I'm kind of disappointed about was I feel like now if I ever have a second child, I'm not going to know. Well, I might know, but like the water breaking on its own and like those kinds of contractions, I don't know how different they'll be from like doing it on its own naturally, if that makes sense. But this way, sorry, I just blow dried my hair and it's so straight and it's in my mouth and there's so much going on. I just kept waiting for the pain to hit me and I felt like all day that Friday it did not, and I was really surprised. My dad stayed in the parking lot the entire time, and so we were like texting back and forth. COVID didn't let anybody else in except my husband the whole time, which even that we were super grateful for. They did not COVID test us and we did not have to wear masks, which was like unbelievable to me. It was really late into the evening, like kind of into the night, I think, when I started to be like, oof, I'm feeling a little bit of something. But every time they would come and ask about my pain, I'd be like, my pain level is like a 0. I don't know. I don't really feel anything. And I think the highest I ever said was like 3, up until I gave birth. So I had a fairly easy birth, I would say, or like, I don't know. I don't like to say that births are easy versus hard because I think birthing a human is hard, but I think I don't know. I've said before, I don't know if I have a high pain tolerance because I haven't had a lot of pain to deal with like that in my life. Like I've never broken a bone or anything. And so I don't know if I was just like had a mega huge high tolerance, but you'll hear more about that at the end. I later in the night started to feel really tired and I couldn't really get comfortable to go to sleep, but it wasn't necessarily because I was in like tons of pain. I think more than anything, I almost started to be anxious about like when is the next contraction gonna happen, and then I couldn't get comfortable enough to go to sleep. I was just like thinking about it too much. So we turned on the TV, watched Friends for a little while. Everybody had told us that the hospital food there was terrible, like beyond terrible. So that evening, I think I got one meal. They brought me lunch, I believe, and then they brought me dinner, but we had people go get us stuff and bring it in, which they allowed us to do, which was great. So Dustin would run out and get stuff from whoever brought stuff and then come back up, and that's what we ate the whole time except for one meal. We only ate one hospital meal the whole time. And really maybe I was just super hungry, but it was not that bad. So I'm trying to remember timeline wise, that whole, basically these days just were a blur. They were a total wash. I don't remember the time on any of the days. I don't remember what was going on most of the time. It was crazy those few days. So later in the night, like way later, like AM hours, that's when I started to be like, this sucks. So I was trying to think the other day of how to explain it, and I kind of don't know because I feel like what I hear people say a lot of the time is it's very similar to period cramps. I never felt period cramps. I think all the cramps that I felt were like in my stomach, I guess, and maybe in my back. When my stomach would tighten for a contraction, I genuinely felt like I could not breathe through it. So when those started feeling that way, and I forgot to throw in here too, my plan was to not have an epidural, and I know that there's a lot of discussion around that, and I am not against epidurals. What I told my doctor, what I told Dustin was I'm going to see how far I can go without one, and if I really feel like I need one, well then I'll get one. But I know that sometimes you can get one and it wears off before, birth, and then what was the point? And then you're numb after, or like it doesn't take time, it doesn't take effect in time, or it only takes effect on one side. And I just thought all of the risks that are involved with an epidural, for it to maybe have any part that doesn't work perfectly, like I just don't think I want to do that. But again, I don't have anything against them, and if my next birth 10 minutes in I'm like, let's get an epidural, I'm not gonna feel bad about that. There was one point during the night when I was really tired where I was like, okay, what can we do? I'm pretty uncomfortable. And they said they could give me Stay-It-All, and I was like, let's try that. And so I wanted them to clarify kind of what that was and what went along with it. And it is a medicine that one time they gave it to me under my tongue, and one time they gave it to me in my IV. The first time was in my IV, and they basically just said that medicine does work and make you comfortable. does not last long at all, let me tell you. But that little bit of feeling good, so good. They just couldn't give it to me past a certain point, or otherwise Dash was going to come out really drowsy. And because Dash had heart issues, really we had kind of gotten them figured out by then and thought that they weren't an issue, but just in case something came up with that, they didn't want to really risk him being even more lethargic. So I took one Stadol in my IV, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. If I can put the picture in, I will, where I was loopy. I felt so good. She told me it was going to hit me quick, and before she even was finished with it, I was like laying my head back. And I don't remember everything I was saying to Dustin, other than I just kept saying, I'm funny, aren't I? And Dustin was like, you're funny. So that was lovely. I got to sleep for a little while then, and then I remember that time being woken up with a contraction. And that one I was like, oh yeah. But even still in that, this is what's funny to me. So what's weird is on that floor, you can obviously hear other women in labor, yelling, screaming, crying, babies crying, the whole thing. That made me a little anxious a few times, especially one time the lady next to me was having a time screaming. I said from the beginning, I did not think I would scream or like make a lot of noise in labor because I am anxious, and I felt like that would make me embarrassed, which is stupid to think that way. But let me tell you, I don't know if it was just sheer focus, I never made a peep. And even that time when I woke up from pain from a contraction, Dustin was still sleeping, and I was like, let me just be quiet though, because he is sleeping and he needs sleep too. Then after that, it was pretty rough, I won't lie. I had said in my birth plan also, which I'm referring to my birth plan because I told my doctor about it. He took it from my hands, he looked over it during one of my appointments, and I was like, do you just want me to bring it during labor? And he's like, yeah, that's fine. I brought that thing and never pulled it out of my bag, not one time. So the fact that anybody was like nice to me about what I wanted is incredible. I had the best team at that hospital. Every single person that we encountered was like amazing. One of the things I wrote was I wanted to be able to like labor in a lot of different positions, and you know, all this. So first little shift of people, one of the girls in there, she was so nice. My doctor had told me they don't have a birthing tub, which I wasn't interested in, but during labor, she was like, we do have the shower, and sometimes if you can just stand in the warm shower, I wish I would have done it, because little did I know, but that was an option for me. She's like, we have the peanut ball, we have like a yoga ball that you can bounce on. So I don't remember, I think at that point I still had some clarity of mind to be like, let's try the yoga ball, yeah, let's try that, because later on it didn't matter. I could not make any decisions about anything. So they got the yoga ball for me. I sat on it, I was drinking my water, which again, don't know how this happened, but they allowed me to drink the entire time I was in labor. And also I was like, I know you can't eat in labor, and they were like, if you're hungry, we can like, you can eat something, it's fine. So I don't know if I just had cool people, if they weren't supposed to do that, I don't know, but I didn't eat, but I did keep drinking the entire time. So early in the morning of Saturday, the 11th, I was really having a hard time, and like I said, time wise, I don't know like how early, what time it was. Hi.
Hey.
Where's our baby?
That is right.
Did you leave him outside?
What?
Did you leave him outside?
Yeah, I left him inside.
Just hanging on the porch?
She's hanging in the woods.
Do you want to say hi? I'm telling them that you were a great partner during labor.
Oh,
And
well, you
delivery.
were a great
Deliverer.
haverer.
Oh,
Baby haver.
baby haver.
Baby haver.
I want a shirt that says that.
I'm a great baby haver.
Just baby haver.
Baby haver.
Baby haver. Baby haver, and then we'll get him a onesie that says baby.
Yes.
Love you.
Like,
So early in the morning on Saturday, that's when I started to feel like this, like I don't know if I'm going to be able to get through this. It went from this sucks, you know, this isn't so good, but I was expecting this, to like, holy crap. So I told Dustin before we went in, if I get to like an 8 or a 9 and I don't have an epidural yet, just remind me that I'm saying if I make it that far, I don't want one. Because I knew from what I had read about that the worst part of labor is at the very end, but it is the shortest part of labor. So the part where you're thinking, I cannot do this, I can't get through it, I don't want to do it, like I want to go home, kind of like irrational thoughts or whatever, that is the shortest part of labor, but it's the most painful and most difficult to get through. So I was like, if I'm right there, just remind me. That morning, I like can't do the yoga ball anymore. This is how bad I was hurting, but I still can't explain the pain correctly. So I was hurting so bad that I was on my yoga ball and Dustin was sitting in a chair next to me. We had the TV on, which is funny. Side note on that, on what happened there. I'm on my yoga ball and they would tell me like bounce through the contractions. Well, I was bouncing, and then when I would have one, I like physically could not make myself do that. I just had to like stop. My legs would not work, nothing would work. I'd just be like, oh, and not breathe. So Dustin would like get my back and like help me bounce. It was something else. So those, even though those were the most painful, I still don't feel like my pain level was like a 10. It was just like a weird, and maybe it's because I knew this is a contraction and it's going to be over in a minute. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is never ending. One of the things that I learned in the class that I took in preparation for birth was talking about if you were just prepared for what's going to happen, sometimes that can make a big difference in like the mindset of like contractions are expected. You know that you're going to have contractions, and so on like that. So that's what I try to keep telling myself was this is just going to last for a few minutes, maybe a minute, maybe shorter. So we just need to like get through this part of it. And then that's, I think, when I asked for my second dose, or maybe it's a little bit before that, my second dose of Stadol. And I would say that the second one did not help like the first one did. And I felt like it was even shorter amount of time that it did like take any of the edge off. Then it just feels like a blur from the yoga ball on. But what was on the TV, as a side note, was Spider-Man, the original with Tobey Maguire. And for some reason, at the early hours on the Saturday morning, they had those movies on loop. So it was like, how many, I don't know, was there 3 or 4? They played them all and then they started again. So we were just Tobey Maguire for like hours. Of course, I was like, couldn't focus on that at all. I think I was like cognitive enough to enjoy the first one sort of. And then after that, I didn't even know the TV was on anymore at that point. I end up back in the bed. I'm like, I don't even know how that happened or when it happened, but I end up back in the bed. I'm like laying down, and I'm really starting to have a time with it. So then that's when I start asking about an epidural, and they're like, we can talk about it. We can go get one, whatever. And I was like, I just want to know that's still an option. Like, at what point is it not an option? And they said I could get one right up until I started pushing. And so I was like, okay. So I'm still trying to ride out the waves, and I have to tell you guys this one funny story. One of the things that they do, I was totally picturing something else, but they asked if I wanted to do like a tug, some sort of tug, as a labor position, and I was like, okay, a bar tug or something. Well, what I thought they were talking about is at the end of hospital beds for labor, there's this little bar that comes up. And I've seen where you can basically stay in your bed, but you're like squatting and you're holding this bar. That's what I thought they were talking about. So I was like, okay, yeah, let's try it. Well, then they kept me laying down and I was like, what are we doing? And so then they brought over basically sheets, big sheets all tied together. Like, picture you're going to tie sheets together, throw them out your window and run away like that. I'm entirely confused. They give Dustin the other end of it and they're like, okay, now he's going to pull, you're going to pull, like, somehow time with the contractions. I don't even remember. All I remember thinking was, this does not make any sense to me how this would be helpful. Dustin says he has it in his mind that he's not going to pull me because he doesn't want to pull me out of the bed. And the nurse that was helping was like, you really have to pull, Dad. You have to like really pull. Well, Dustin did not want to do that. I also did not want to be even a part of what was going on. So what ended up happening was right when Dustin was like, okay, I'll pull, was the exact moment that I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. So he pulled really hard. I just let go of the thing like this, just didn't care anymore. And so Dustin went flying across the room into the baby warmer, fell all the way down to the ground, like, and honestly, I told him afterwards, I was so far gone that I wasn't even like, sorry I did that. I was just like, trying to focus on getting this child out. So Dustin jumped back up and was like, I'm fine. And all of the nurses were like, holy crap, are you okay? He was like, yeah, I'm fine. We get right back to it. And then I feel like I don't know. I wish that I could remember this part better, but it's just kind of like everything was a blur after that. I don't really remember the doctor coming in. The last thing I do remember, like super clearly, was they did call in the lady that was going to give me an epidural, and she was like, okay, talk to me about, like, do you want one? Do you not? Are you scared? Can I answer questions? Like, what's holding you up from getting one? And I was like, I'm just not sure that I need it. Can we see how far dilated I am? Well, they check me and they say, literally, it's like an 8 or a 9. And remember, I had told Dustin, if I'm like an 8 or a 9, remind me. And so I was like, okay, no, we're fine. And it really wasn't like I really wanted one and didn't get one. The anesthesiologist told me, girl, if you're not begging me for one and you're at a 9, I'm not giving you one because you don't need it, is exactly what she said. So I was like, okay, sounds good. And I think her point was like, if you're still in your head enough to be thinking like, do I want to do this or do I want to do that? I wasn't at the pain point to be like, just give it to me. So I did not get an epidural. And then it seemed like all of a sudden I was pushing. So I stayed on my back the whole time. I really wish that I wouldn't have done that. My poor doctor kept being like, remember, Sarah, we can squat or we can lay on your side, or like all these things that I had talked to him about. And I was just like, just get the baby out. So I obviously had a nurse on this side and a nurse on this side holding my legs. Dustin was doing amazing, being like, we're doing it, let's do it. I was super confused about breathing for some reason at the beginning, where they would tell me take a deep breath in, hold it, and then push. And for some reason I kept taking my deep breath in, and then the entire time I push, I'd be like, and they were like, no, hold your breath. I probably did it 3 or 4 times in a row where I was like, okay, I got it. I got what you're saying. I breathed in when I pushed, and they were still like, no. So I don't know what was going on there. I think I was just tired. But then I got the hang of it, and then I was just like focus mode, had my blinders on about getting the baby out. Towards the end I was like, I'm gonna throw up, so they got me a little bag. I did not throw up. But I'm just watching this video back and I realized I left out another big thing that happened during my birth. Right when I started pushing, like my doctor's in the room now, which I was in a competition with the girl next door. He told me it was basically like we were neck and neck, like he didn't know who he was going to be able to deliver at what time. She had her baby like minutes before I had mine. He finished up in there, came to my room, and so I'm like ready to go, pushing. Nurses have my legs, doctors ready to catch the baby. And the power to the entire hospital went out. Like no backup, no nothing. I'm in the middle of pushing. It is pitch black in the room. It just gets quiet. I feel like there was 1,000 nurses in there at this point. It just gets quiet, and then I hear my doctor say, we'll figure it out. And then Dustin gets his phone out and gets his flashlight going, so then all the nurses get their flashlight going. And then anyway, the power came back on. But it would only happen to me. It was the funniest, and I was like not fazed at all by the fact that I'm going to have my baby in the pitch black while it's storming outside, because whatever gets him out. Anyway, just wanted to add that. And the most thing I think that I remember is that I felt like I was going to pass out. Like at the last few pushes, literally the last few that got him out, probably the last 2 or 3, I remember thinking, like, this is it. I don't know what happens next, but I'm going to pass out in the middle of delivering him. I pushed so hard that I bust a blood vessel in my eye, and I didn't even realize it for like 2 days afterwards, but it was horrendous to look at, and it lasted forever. It felt like for like weeks I felt like I had that jacked up looking eye. And the worst pain point wise, like thing that I can remember about it, is Dash had so much hair. I had terrible heartburn, and that's what everybody kept saying, was like, you're gonna have such a hairy baby. I had a little chimpanzee baby. He was like furry all over his body. And I don't think I mentioned this already, but we were induced obviously the week before his due date, so he was like a little bit early. So I think some of that would have shed off if he would have stayed in, but he was hairy all over his body. He had hair, so much head hair, like down to his eyebrows, just hair. And when I was pushing, he had so much hair that he was getting like stuck in my birth canal, like the friction of his hair in my birth canal, he couldn't get moving. So one of the nurses was taking oil on her fingertips and she was, I'm so sorry for how graphic this is gonna be, but I have to tell you guys, she was putting it around his head, like sticking her, and I'm all the way, like you can see his head now. She was sticking her fingers in and going all the way around his head. Oh my gosh. I felt like my bladder just jumped feeling it now. That was the worst feeling, I feel like. The most memorable, I'll say. Actually pushing him out, I didn't feel anything. That might have just been by the grace of God. I know people say that and people get mad because then you have your birth and you're like, I definitely felt that. Maybe I did and I have just blocked it. I don't know, but in the moment I don't remember any of that. I just remember I'm going to pass out and get this baby out of me. And so then I saw my doctor get him and say, here he is. And then just like that, Dash was on me and breastfeeding while my doctor sewed me up because I got a 3rd-degree tear. So that was my whole birth. I am going to make a different video, maybe if it's something that you're interested in, about recovery and everything and like our hospital stay afterwards. I just wanted to do the birth, but I'm going to throw this piece in because if you don't watch any of those other videos or if they don't get made, this is one piece of advice that I absolutely would give you. So I have a waistband, I forget what they're called, not a waist trainer, but a belly wrap. This one is from KeaBabies and it's like a 1-size-1. It comes in 3 pieces. They sent this to me and I didn't get it in time to bring it to the hospital with me. I know you guys, you're probably looking at this like, what are these pieces? But you put one piece around you, wrap it in Velcro, and then you put the other kind of around that piece, and then you have one that supports a little bit under your belly. And I wish that I had that because I don't know all of the rules and regulations for if you have a C-section, but if you deliver vaginally, your stomach feels so weird after. Like having to get up and walk to the bathroom, my stomach just felt like shaky jello, and like I didn't have any muscles in my stomach, which is weird because you don't think about how much you use your stomach to use your legs. But I was like, I cannot keep walking. Like I don't have any muscles in my stomach anymore, I don't think. And I came home and had this, and wearing that was like, that was, I think, something that if I had started it sooner would have helped healing a lot faster for me, because you just use muscles you don't even know that you have all day, every day. And then when something happens like this to them, you're like, I'm aware. Very rambly later. I hope I was to the point. I know this video is still going to be long because I can tell looking at it, it's long, but I tried to like get it as concise as possible. And like I said, if you guys want like a recovery or how our stay was or anything like that, I can do that. If you have any specific questions about like what did I actually use for my hospital bag or anything, I can do all of those. I just didn't want this to be like birth video, birth video, birth video, birth video if you guys didn't want it. I obviously wanted to tell my story though, and you know, I'm so happy that Dash is here and that my delivery was as easy as it was, if that's how you want to explain it. And a few of the nurses, I'll say this and then I'll let you go. A few of the nurses kept saying, I thought that she had had an epidural because of how quiet she was being. And really between pushes, I would like push and then I would just lay back like this. And then it was like, I would start to feel another one and I would say, here comes one. And Dustin would be like, okay, here's one, she's having another one. And I'd push. And then I'd be like, over and over. So Dustin was amazing, like the best partner ever to have there. The staff definitely took notice of how much we love each other and how supportive he is, and just all around it was an amazing experience. I don't think if I have another baby there even that it would be as good of an experience. It just was magical and amazing. So anyway, welcome back. I have so many other videos planned for you guys. I'm gonna have the link for this KeaBabies belly wrap also down below so you guys can like look at how it fits. I would show you, but I don't have a pregnant stomach anymore if you want to get one, because like I said, that's like the one thing I would really recommend having at the hospital. I even asked them when I was there if they had one I could use and they said no. And so I think that would be super, super helpful. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this. Sorry it was so long. But yeah, definitely the biggest thing I've ever done in my life, and I'm so happy to be this side of it. I say all the time, basically like 8 times a week, can you believe I had a baby? To Dustin, he's like, yeah. I'm like, but can you believe I did it though? Like I had a baby. It's kind of mind-blowing to think about. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day today. I'm going to see you in a couple days with a brand new video, and I will see you then. Bye.